So, as we know, yes, Dandadan is top tier. And for a little while now, it's been going pretty strong. Having some good plot lines, some interesting fights, cool power-ups, the weirdness is continuing. That's all well and good. Recently, something has happened in the manga that has gotten a lot of people worked up and others questioning their original stance on the manga. And spoilers for Dandadan up to chapter 224, but Momo has lost her memory. She has amnesia. Wow, an amnesia plot in a romance story? I've never heard of that one happening. You can see why a lot of people are kind of upset about this. A lot of times, amnesia plotlines have been used to slow down the story or slam on the brakes, more accurately in this scenario. A lot of people feel like we are backtracking to old places that we had just gotten out from, especially since we just had that whole arc of Momo basically being not really able to be the full character that she wants to be. And especially in the romance plotline, they weren't even going to confess until she got back to her original side. Now that Momo has amnesia, the confession of the two main characters is going to be drawn out for a bit longer, which truly does suck, I have to be real. But even still, I'm not here to shit on Dandadan. Dandadan is somehow doing this amnesia plotline very well. I'd like to add that before this, Dandadan had been meandering around for a little bit. We had, action and some decent, plot lines, but Dandadan doesn't really have like a central, or until recently, hasn't had really like a central big plot line that's going on, even like a big villain group, like most other shonen. But if you've been reading the manga, you know that Tatsu has recently been setting that stuff up with our boy CSG. I think that the way that CSG is approaching things and Tatsu is writing him with how kind of strange he is, I think it's interesting and it's completely fitting for a series like Dandadan. And even though people would like to try to shit on this arc for not really moving the plot forward, I believe Momo having amnesia is actually going to be a key piece in figuring out that there is a big bad. The main characters barely even know. Tatsu didn't just do a regular amnesia plotline, just removing her memories up to a certain point and now, things have to be figured out again. What wacky hijinks could they get into now? Tatsu left some of Momo's original memories and removed others. So we're not going to get rehashings of moments that we've already had earlier in the series, like the Ken Takakura moment, because she doesn't even fucking remember who Ken Takakura is. And I'm kind of happy about that. After all the meandering around with a few of the previous arcs, especially the Momo being small arc, this arc with her having amnesia is actually kind of reiterating some of the earlier reasons that you like Dandadan in the first place, Some earlier reasons that we like Dandadan in the first place, we, us. To me, the amnesia is not being played for just laughs or goofy moments or just stalling out the story. I feel like this is giving us an opportunity for the main characters to show us again what they care about when it comes to each other, or what they fell in love with in the first place. People can be trauma bonded, and they've went through a lot up to this point. What is their love and what is their relationship to each other without all of the things that they went through? What does Momo love about Okarun in general without all this space bullshit, without all this near-death moments bullshit with the ghost and all this shit? What does Okarun love about Momo without all of this other stuff attached to it? With that, we also get some good character development moments from Okarun, where he is now going to take charge when it comes to their relationship to each other. And I love the way Tatsu is writing this, because Okarun is wrestling with the fact that, unlike the first time, with Momo being the one to be forward and kind of pressing their interactions, he wants to be the one to do that, but he doesn't want to pressure someone who he basically doesn't know anymore. Okarun, throughout this entire arc thus far, has been completely going back and forth with, how do I find the girl that I loved in there while also not pressuring her to do anything that she doesn't want to do, because this is not the person that I knew previously, or at least not entirely the person I knew previously. He doesn't want to be weird and kind of pressure her back into something that she doesn't have any idea about. But he does take this time to be the more forward one, and it's adorable to see him go through this. I also love how her friends are kind of the push that they need to be able to hang out alone, because Momo's not gonna do it and Okarun's not gonna fucking press her, So I know I love Momo's friends. They're fucking hilarious, dude. Every time they pop up on the screen, they're always doing some ridiculous, they're always on some funny shit, bro. We get to see them fall in love all over again. And it's really sweet. You remember that this is not only a alien ghost freaky ass manga, this is also a love story, and nothing shows that better than this part where they had to defend themselves without their powers. And them not having powers in this moment, I would say is annoying, because I would like a progression of the power system, but this is a progression of the power system when it comes to Okarun's side especially. Okarun himself has never really had to do any kind of spiritual training, just being, with Turbo Granny. And speaking of Turbo Granny, we actually see her return. So this likely means that our boy Okarun is going to get his powers back. But because of the things that he's had to go through without his powers, he's going to come back way fucking stronger, bro. Everyone else has been having recent power boosts. This is going to be Okarun's for sure. And I would like to add, before I get ahead of myself, I did binge read this manga. I had stopped reading for a few months, so I was not reading this weekly. I probably would have a different opinion, but reading it in its totality, all together in one go, it reads well. A ton of the moments in this arc are just super charming. It's not really being played for laughs with Momo's amnesia all the time, but when it is played for laughs, it's funny. Tatsu does some funny shit with it. And through all of this shit that I've said so far, I don't think that this arc and Momo having amnesia and neither of the characters having their powers is actually preventing the plot from progressing, because it's progressing more than it was in The arc where Momo was small, I'm pretty sure. All this while putting up a bit of a magnifying glass to characters like Koki and Ren, who are now forming kind of a little friendship, which I think is really fucking cool. Or at least it was really fucking cool before they got jumped by the weirdest group of niggas ever, bro. Our boy CSG is clearly pulling some crazy bullshit in the background, plotting like he always do, and trying to create something called the ultimate yokai. I don't know how the fuck he gonna do that, but apparently he needs to be cool with the main characters to do it. I'm not saying that people don't have valid critiques on Dandadan as of recently. It has felt a bit, underwhelming in some aspects. People can point at CSG and call him like a more kind of a nothing burger of a villain so far. People can point at what I mentioned earlier when I said that the plot's kind of meandering. It doesn't really have like a central focus on what's going on with the plot line. A bunch of weird ass shit is happening. I mean, they just fought a mummy that turned into a whale. Motherfucker just fought a tsunami, I'm pretty sure. Like, what are we doing, Dandadan? It gets to a point. But when it comes to the critiques of what's going on in the story, I surprisingly don't think that the amnesia plotline is one of them. I really thought that it was going to be, but I don't think it is, in my opinion. But yeah, shout out Tatsu, shout out Dandadan, shout out CSG. Let's see what you got, bro. We need your name up there with the big dogs, bro. We need to see it. Do something, bro, please.